A C-section is a procedure used as a surgical procedure whereby the obstetrician will make a surgical incision into a woman's abdomen for the purposes of helping her deliver her baby. The surgeon will make he'll clean the lady with antiseptic. He will make an incision through the outside skin, the inside muscle layer, and then through the uterus. He will then reach down into the uterus and pull the baby's head or butt out, whatever part is presenting, and help the baby come out.
Common indications for cesarean section include dystocia, placenta previa, and fetal distress.
Like a Pitocin drip can cause what they call fetal distress. And so the baby starts, maybe their heart rate goes up because there's Pitocin in the system now. You're speeding up labor and the baby's like, hey, I wasn't ready. So then they start showing signs of what they call stress, and then that can progress, and then a doctor says, hey, the baby's under stress, we gotta take the baby now in a C-section.
Well, there were 4 different births, and each was different. So the first birth was on Good Friday, so it was a very interesting day, and it was very, very long. The labor was about 24 hours, so I quickly asked for an epidural. But you know that getting an epidural slows down your labor. So it took quite a while, and then eventually Katrina just did not want to be born, and so I had to have a C-section. I had a C-section with all 4.
We used to say we won't get older, it'll be alright. We wait to change and then it's over, but it'll be alright.
Complication, however, it was a pretty big complication because it made the recovery a lot worse. If I wouldn't have torn, I probably would have been fine walking around like a couple days later, but because I tore, I had to take medicine, it bled a lot, like I had to be very careful. I couldn't drive for a couple weeks.
The baby was almost 2 weeks late, and so I got really nervous that I was going to have to be induced. And I had planned this water birth in my home and was really hoping not to use any drugs. And then I was getting up to that point. So what they did is they had to try and get things going. And so they did a procedure called sweeping the membranes. And that actually helped. But because my body wasn't fully ready, I was in labor for a full 24 hours, which was a challenge.
During my first birth included what is called a heart deceleration with my son. They actually were going to push an emergency C-section. I had been in labor for 4 days, and on one of my checkups, my son's heart rate completely plummeted. So I was rushed to the hospital. They were able to stabilize it again. My blood pressure dropped, so they were nervous for both of us.
My daughter Kirsten, it's something you call a VBAC, because they always try to have the baby naturally, because a C-section is a lot more risky.
But if your baby heart rate is dropping and the baby is in peril, the baby could die, they would just do you like a zipper, because they need to get the baby out quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that incision going up the large part of the uterus, that incision is not strong. So, that's the reason why a woman with that kind of incision would not be offered a vaginal delivery. But a woman with the lower incision, like the smiley face, she would be offered a chance to have a normal vaginal delivery. It's a personal choice. Some women are afraid to try, but quite a few women would like to have, they call it a VBAC, a vaginal delivery after cesarean. A lot of women would like to have that.
But that didn't work. So after about 12 hours of labor, Kirsten was born by C-section. And after that, they say quit, right? After that, they say, it's just not working for you. And so Kelsey was scheduled and Keegan was scheduled. But unfortunately, the doctor had an emergency right during the time Keegan was scheduled. So I sat there and I got to think about it. And that was very upsetting because you know what a C-section involves. So I got very nervous.
The tearing wasn't very deep. Like there are degrees of tears, I believe 1 to 4. 1 being minimal tearing or the least severe, and 4 being the most severe. I had level 2 tears.
Beyond a certain amount, that's considered like a medical error, and that would be a strike against your hospital, your OB force. They would have to account for that. So if a doctor had 3rd and 4th degree lacerations, then he would be held accountable for that.
So they weren't very deep, but they were everywhere. And so it hurt. I had lots of stitches. They healed well. But then there were some places where it's hard to describe, but skin didn't close completely, and there were parts that had to be cottered off, or silver nitrate had to be used to burn off my skin.
However, it's really worth it. Like there's that, everyone kept telling me like that cliche, like once you see the baby, it'll all be worth it and you forget your pain and it all fades away. And that truly happens. Like I was probably in the most pain of my life, and then when they put the baby on your chest, you really do, it all like fades away and you forget it, and it was the happiest moment of my life, and I would do it all again.
I have to say, she's graduating from college, even though when she was born, she'd fit in the palm of your hand.
Happy and thankful for my experience.
If women did not have babies, then that would be the end of the human race. So we have to want to have babies. They're very, very cute. Unfortunately, they grow up, and the older they get, the more work they are. But they, you know, it's a wonderful thing when you hold a baby. It's very nurturing. It helps you to relax. When you lay a baby on your chest, your heart rate goes down. You get a glow or feeling about you that's very, very special.
So a doula is a non-medical labor and delivery assistant. So my philosophy on supporting women and families postpartum, so meaning after the baby has been born, I think it's really important, and it's more important than society thinks it is. So in some cultures, it's called the first 40 days, and women and families won't even be visited. They will just be left kind of with their new little family to figure out schedules, to get used to each other, and just to build that, because they should just be able to focus on their new little baby.
I love babies.